GearNetwork.com.
This is a Gear Network production.
Ladies and gentlemen, it's your boy, Mr. Perez, and you're listening to the Better Live Than Dead podcast, brought to you exclusively on Gear Network. Listen in.
Hey friends, how's it going? It's Ryan, the host of the Better Live Than Dead podcast. Just giving you a quick heads up. This podcast is episode number 89. As you will hear me in my half-tired state coming up just shortly, I referred to it multiple times as episode 88, which obviously already happened. So, without further ado, I give you the Better Live Than Dead podcast, episode number 89. Enjoy. Welcome, everybody. We are back live. Better Live Than Dead. It is episode number 88. How you doing today, people?
Are you asking me or the people?
Yeah, I was waiting for you to talk. You're getting a little rusty here.
Hey, man, you said, how you doing today, people? And then normally you go into something else. But anyway, episode 88. What's up, peoples? It's your boy, Mr. Perez. Ryan,
we're going to start off hot. We're going to start off red hot. I'm doing well. How you been?
Not bad, man. Not bad, thank you. Let's do it. Let's get into it.
Big. Last night was a fantastically large night for the UFC. First off, there was UFC 199. We saw Dominic Cruz defeat Uriah Faber with a unanimous decision. Then we saw Michael Bisping become the first ever British champion in the UFC when he defeated Luke Rockhold first round KO due to punches. Dan Henderson also may have fought the last fight of his Hall of Fame career. He was down and out against Hector Lombard, came back and won with a KO in the second round. Now, first off, with Uriah Faber, this potentially could be the end of the road or near the end of the road for Faber. I mean, at this point, he is, as a bantamweight in the UFC, he's undefeated when not fighting for a title. When fighting for the bantamweight title, he's 0-4.
Which is absolute crazy.
For one of the greatest fighters in the history of mixed martial arts, it's absurd.
It is absolutely absurd. But some people just don't have that, championship mentality.
Some people are just second best in the world. There's nothing they can do about it.
I.e., the Cavaliers. Sorry.
Yeah, we'll get to that in just a moment here. Going back to UFC real fast, two other things. First off, McGregor Diaz 2 has been announced for August, so we're finally going to get that fight. And the big news yesterday night that actually has ruffled some feathers because it was broken before it was official, Brock Lesnar will be back for one night only in the UFC 200. Now, I've got some conspiracy theories thanks to Twitter. The Fed, WWE, announced that Brock Lesnar is going to UFC for one night only, and he'll be back at SummerSlam. So, who does Brock Lesnar fight at 200 that he can also fight at SummerSlam?
Who?
That's the question. CM Punk. That's the crazy thought I saw on the internet today.
The only thing with that is I don't know if you could put CM Punk in the same weight class as Brock.
It would probably end up being a catchweight fight, if anything.
That would be interesting.
Because, I mean, it's just a conspiracy theory I saw on the internet, and I kind of ran with it and took off and thought it was a great idea. Because there's nobody... The thing about CM Punk, first off, is there's no one he can fight. Even putting him up against a guy like Brock might be too much, but let me run with it for a second. You know, if you put him against Brock, you've got someone who's got some MMA experience. You're not putting up against a lifer. I mean, we've heard all the rumors that Punk has not faced or has not been too well against other mixed martial artist that he's been practicing against, and it's just not looking too good for him. So it may be something where you need a gimmick to get him in the octagon, and maybe this is the gimmick. Maybe putting him up against Brock in the UFC and then having them fight at SummerSlam does something. I don't think it ever happens because I don't think Punk's going to ever fight, and I don't think Punk would ever come back to the WWE, but I saw the rumor. I thought I would address it, and I thought we'd have some fun with him.
That is a pretty good rumor. I can't lie. That would be slightly intriguing, except that I think
it makes too much sense.
Right. Right. Then when it comes to throwing hands, I mean, if you were legit throwing hands, Brock would just murder CM Punk.
Oh yeah, but the thing about Brock too that I think about is that Perez. The thing I think about Brock is we saw how his last couple fights went. Ever since he's had the diverticulitis, there's a target on his gut, and fighters will just repeatedly punch and kick until he's doubled over in pain and can't handle it anymore, and then they'll just destroy him with ground and pound.
Yeah, I don't know. That would be interesting to see if that actually happened. But you're right. I can't see Punk ever going back to WWE.
We will know for next week's podcast. We will know. Because they are announcing his opponent on Monday. So it's someone that they've already got picked out and they've all got shined up and ready to go. I mean, I would probably give birth to a small animal if it was Punk.
Right. Yeah, I watched that promo where at the very end, Brock Lesnar showed up. I was like, what? Come on, get out of here.
It's gonna sell some pay-per-views for sure.
Oh, yeah, man, absolutely. I might actually go someplace and watch that one.
I might actually buy it. I mean, I don't like going out places. I don't like people very much. So I hang out at my apartment and watch it on the TV or whatever. But
yeah, I like people, but if you buy it, let me know, dude. I'll split it with you. We can order some pizza or something.
Word. Well, we might be able to have a full house and just have a bunch of people pitch in, and it won't cost too much.
No doubt. That's true.
I'll get working on something. Now that I know you're interested, I'll get working on it.
Right,
but
cool.
Besides that, I mean, UFC is headed in a good direction. I mean, they did ban Ariel Helwani, a UFC lifer. They banned him for breaking the Brock Lesnar news. I'm sure there's more where that came from. We'll find out shortly. But UFC is heading in the right direction, and UFC 200 is going to be the culmination of everything that they've been working the past handful of years for. And John Jones and Daniel Cormier is going to crush it. And then you've got Brock Lesnar against an undisclosed opponent. You've got Amanda Nunes versus Misha Tate. And then you've got Frankie Edgar and Jose Aldo for the interim strap and the chance to face Conor McGregor. So that, among other fights, it's going to be a fantastic evening. It's going to be a must-see event, something that we might be able just to do a straight podcast on if we can get some UFC people to discuss it with us. So we will certainly, that was my text message. We will certainly discuss that with someone when the time is right. That's not very not very far away.
No doubt.
But I want to move over now to hockey really quick because I'm waiting for the basketball game to end so we can discuss it. But it surely looked to me like a few days ago that Pittsburgh was going to go up 2-rock or 3-0 on the San Jose Sharks. Pittsburgh has by far been the better squad in these Stanley Cup Finals. I mean, it's evident to me that they are probably going to win the cup. I mean, we'll see Monday night when Pittsburgh takes on San Jose. If San Jose can even it up, then it's a best of 3, and we'll see what happens from there. But, I mean,
well, you know,
I don't know, man. I think San Jose got real lucky in overtime and just was able to pull it out because I was expecting Pittsburgh to go up 3-0.
Well, you know, interesting stat. No team has ever lost 5 games in a row in overtime in the playoffs. And San Jose was at risk of losing 5 in a row, overtime games, in the NHL playoffs. So they kept that from happening. And you know, they did. I think they got lucky. But, hey, that just means that now Pittsburgh can win the next two and win it at home. Which is what I think
that's possible.
That's what I think is going to happen, because Pittsburgh has been the more dominant hockey team. But as we discussed earlier, when the playoffs first started, there are moments when Pittsburgh is very lackadaisical on the ice. And that's kind of what you see when other teams score, and then it kind of sets a fire underneath their backside, and they go and score again. The last game was just a really good, grinded out type of game. Very few penalties. Just a real nice game, and San Jose got lucky in overtime.
That was a beautiful goal by Donskoy, though, for sure.
Yeah, no, it was. It was. And quite frankly, the first goal they scored when Pittsburgh was up 1-1 was, Murray couldn't even see the guy. It went between an offensive and a defensive player. It was the upper right corner. Murray never even saw it. That was a good goal. Kind of lucky. But, San Jose is a good team. I just don't think in the long run they're not going to come back.
Yeah, they're good enough to not get swept, but I don't know if they're good enough to win it.
Yeah,
and maybe who knows? Maybe they come out on Monday night and just blow up. But
possible.
Yeah, we'll see there.
I don't see it happening, but we'll see.
Moving over to basketball now. Game 2 just went final, so we'll talk about game 1 real quick. Golden State took that one 104-89. A little bit of what we expected. I mean, I figured that game would set the tone. If Cleveland came out and took Golden State to the woodshed, then we'd have a series. But Golden State. I can't stop burping at this point. Golden State pretty much controlled Cleveland. I mean, they outshot 49% to 38% field goals wise, and it's Golden State imposing their will. So we roll over to Sunday night, which I can't believe what I saw from game 2. I mean, Golden State.
Go ahead.
Well, I was going to say, just for those record-keeping purposes, Golden State put Cleveland away 110-77. 54% field goals from the field for Golden State to 35% for Cleveland. I mean, I can't. And for most of the game, the third quarter when Golden State took off, Steph Curry was on the bench with 4 fouls.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. That's very true. In the first game, it was a pretty good game up until the fourth quarter. And in the third quarter, Cleveland actually took the lead for a little bit. And then Golden State kind of turned it on. The first game really showed just how deep the Golden State Warriors are. Most of, a good portion of the bench did most of the scoring for that game. Curry was quiet. Thompson was quiet. Green was quiet. The bench really stepped it up. This game, when I walked outside to get in my car to get ready for the podcast, Golden State was up by 30. The Cleveland led like 10-6 at one point. I think that was the last time I saw them lead the game. This just shows that Golden State, for this era, is definitely on another level. And to be honest with you, LeBron looks tired. There's been several games where he's absolutely just faded. And in this game, I don't know what he ended up with, but he kind of was a non-factor. So, I got to be honest with you, I'm kind of really loving it because I'm not saying I'm a Golden State fan. I do like the team. I do like the players. But I'm not like a bandwagon jumper. I'm not going to be like, yeah, my favorite team is. But I don't like LeBron. So this is making me very happy.
LeBron ended up with 19 points in 34 minutes. Now, and Kevin Love also, just a quick heads up, Kevin Love left with a concussion or with concussion-like symptoms. Obviously, you know how weird teams are about actually diagnosing it to be a concussion, but he did get elbowed in the back of the head by Harrison Barnes early on in the game. I believe he ended up playing like 21 minutes, only had something like 5 points. But for me personally, I'm not a Golden State fan. I'm not a Cleveland fan. I'm not even really a basketball fan. I like the Hornets when I watch basketball, as I've made very obvious over the years, or over the podcasts, I should say. But there's just something about Golden State is just so much fun to watch because it's just a free-flowing entity. You don't ever know what's going to happen, but you always know whatever is going to happen will blow your mind. And whether it's Steph Curry pulling up for, a 28-foot three, or we saw Draymond Green had a one dribble in a jump shot, a one dribble jump shot from three. Like, the stuff people shouldn't be able to do, they do it with ease. That's fun.
Yeah, they make it look easy. There was, at one point in this game, there was 4 seconds left on the shot clock. Curry was like 27 feet out and just drained it, It makes it look easy. So this team is really, 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 really good. They're definitely on another level. And their bench is just deeper than the Cavs. I feel bad for Cavs. No, actually, I don't. But they're just deeper. There's really not much more you can say. They're just deeper.
I mean, this really highlights the disparity between the Eastern Conference and the Western Conference. I mean, Cleveland dominated the Eastern Conference, but
absolutely.
When they play the Western Conference, there's what is there?
Right. And you know what? I can't lie to you. The fact that the Cleveland Cavaliers wanted to make a quote unquote change to invigorate the team, and they fired David Black for Tyronn Lue. Invigorate the team. How? They were already in first place in the Eastern Conference, something that they never gave up. So the fact that they got the coach that LeBron wanted, and they're down 0-2 in the championships, makes me a very happy individual. Very happy individual. I just get so baffled by how good Golden State is. It's almost unfair, but just being a sports fan, it's so much fun to watch. Right, it is. And we'll see what happens next year when there's a couple big names out there that have free agency. Do you risk bringing someone in that's a free agent and possibly making that team even deeper? Do you imagine that team with a Kevin Durant on it?
Yeah, that's what I thought is what happens if Golden State adds a Kevin Durant, because if you see how this team has
right.
If you see how this team has taken on after, at this point the NBA Finals were Oklahoma City versus Golden State. I don't know if Oklahoma City was deep enough to beat Cleveland, but there's just something about Cleveland, or something about just the Western Conference is so much better than the Eastern Conference, and there's no doubt about it at all. Now, the thing that blows my mind is that it's obviously we need some context. We need some years to let it settle. But at this point in time, we may be looking at one of the best performances by a basketball team we've ever seen in the history of basketball. Between last year and this year, how much better they've gotten, how good they were this season. 3-1 backs up against the wall, or 1-3 backs up against the wall. They come back, they win the conference, and now they're in the finals, and they're just destroying Cleveland. It's only 2 games in, so we'll give it a break, but come on, it's heading in the right direction for Golden State's back-to-back championship dreams, I guess is the best way to look at it.
It absolutely is. Now, the NBA not next season, but when the season is over, there's going to be a new TV contract, new TV deal. And the rumor is that at that point, the salary caps are going to go up. So I can see possibly KD staying in Oklahoma like on a year contract, and then after that year is up, going someplace for the money. But, I mean, if you want to win a championship now, you're a free agent. Check the market out. If you end up someplace like Golden State where they don't have to give anything up, you know, you might see the first undefeated team in NBA history.
Yeah, I mean it's one of those things where, like, if you ever watch a Golden State game with me, I'm just laughing the entire time. I mean, it's I don't understand how they do it, but they do it and they make it work. And guys will stop flocking to Cleveland to win a championship, and they'll start flocking to Golden State. But the thing about Golden State is they're in beg stars to come play. They'll find the guys that fit the roles perfectly, like they did with Andre Iguodala. Like that right there is one of the bigger success stories. You take a superstar in Philadelphia and say, we're going to play you half the time, if that, and we're gonna put you into a specific role, and it worked out perfectly. I mean, that's just what Golden State does.
Yeah, man, it you know, it looks like the writing's on the wall. Looks like they're going to be.
Well, we did see too. Real quick, I did want to mention. I did want to mention. Sorry, Louis, for cutting you off again, but I did want to mention. I did see some rumors this week. It sounds like Kevin Durant will re-sign in Oklahoma City. There are rumors of, I think it was a 2-year max deal where he would have an opt-out after year 1. I mean, at this point, you took the potential NBA champions, one of the greatest teams ever, to the wire, and I mean, with a few pieces put back, you know, in the right places, Oklahoma City could be back in the same spot next season. And I almost wonder if Durant doesn't want to win a title for Oklahoma City before leaving.
Yeah, man, it's a real possibility. They're going to have to get some better role players. You know, like you said, they were up 3-1 at Golden State, and they lost 3 in a row to lose that series. You know, I'm sure Steph Curry didn't really appreciate Russell Westbrook laughing at him when he was asked the question, is he an underrated defender? And Russell Westbrook literally just laughed. So that kind of is like a jab right there, you know. Like, and I talked about that. I said that might set a fire underneath their bellies. And what happened? They won the series. I don't think you want to prod this beast, you know. And right now, you don't have to do anything to make them mad. They're just rolling over you. And looking like they're having fun doing it.
Absolutely. And that's the most exciting part about it, is watching them have a blast and just laughing and enjoying it. And Steph Curry's reactions on the bench are hilarious. But
yeah, they are.
On my end, I am running out of energy and time. So I do want to talk about one more thing. I know we're going to have kind of a short podcast this week. Unfortunately, time was not on our side. But I do want to talk about the loss of Muhammad Ali, one of the greatest, if not the greatest, boxers we will ever see in our lifetime, in our generation, whatever you want to call it. He passed away after a long battle with Parkinson's. One of the bigger proponents of research on Parkinson's disease to try to help find a cure or help find a way to make people's struggles a little less. So I don't really know where to go with this, but
don't listen. Muhammad Ali.
I figured if I let you take the floor, you could run with it.
Yeah, let me say a couple things real quick. Muhammad Ali is by far the greatest boxer we will ever see. I watched a bunch of his fights. over the years. And with his death, I took some time to watch some more and rewatch a couple others. And Muhammad Ali changed the game. He, by far, had the quickest hands I've ever seen of any boxer. And back in the day, boxers would go side to side. If you threw a punch, they'd try to evade by going side to side. Muhammad Ali didn't have to do that. He was so quick that he would just move his head and you would miss. By far, the greatest boxer I've ever seen. And what people don't realize is, if you don't know much about Muhammad Ali and you're listening to this podcast, look up all the things he's done. He's raised millions of dollars for Parkinson's disease research. He's raised millions of dollars for, tons of other charities, and not only here in the United States, but also in Africa. If you take a look, I don't know if you ever seen the movie Ali, but they depict him in the Rumble in the Jungle when he beat George Foreman with the rope-a-dope. He goes to Africa weeks before George Foreman, and he spends time with the people, and it really gave him an appreciation of the culture and the struggle that they went through. And, he over the years has raised money for helping those people. Funny story, his last wife, the wife that he was married to right now, he actually met when he was there for the Rumble in the Jungle. And I'm not going to lie to you, dude, she was a little girl at the time. Like, he married someone much younger than him this last time around. She was obviously of age, but there's a funny picture where he's a grown man and she's like 6. He was a very huge humanitarian. He really broke down color barriers. He had a really cool relationship with Howard Cosell, who was one of the greatest sportscasters of all time. Him and Howard Cosell would go back and forth at each other in a joking manner that was awesome and unheard of in those days. He has said multiple times that, obviously he converted to Islam. And if you actually, I don't know if I want to get into it right now, but I think there was another conversion also. But he used to tell people, no matter what creed, no matter what color you are, God loves everyone. We're not supposed to judge people. Mankind should get along and love each other because we're all mankind. And for someone who went through racism and went through the troubles that he went through when he was younger, I mean, that's an incredible thing. But that's what he stood for. He didn't judge people. He was brash. He was outspoken. He was loudmouth, but he was actually a very genuine, caring person behind, outside of the ring. Easily the greatest boxer ever. Easily. And I understand that we got this knucklehead who claims to be the greatest and retired undefeated, but here's the difference. He's a thug. He does it like a thug. Muhammad Ali did it in a way that was completely different, and he was a class act. And to be honest with you, when he decided not to go to the Vietnam War, we lost 3 years of him in his prime. He could have been even, the legend could be even bigger if we hadn't lost that time frame. So, easily the best fighter we'll ever see. I encourage you guys, and you, Ryan, I encourage everyone to go look up some of his fights. Go watch the footage of his escapades. He was incredible. Look up the ghost punch, the lightning punch. he knocked the person out, and you have to slow it down to actually see the actual punch. It was ridiculous.
I'll have to check that out. Here's the thing: is I know of the impact that Muhammad Ali has had, but obviously being a child still, I didn't grow up with him being a professional boxer in my life. So I got the back end, got to see his struggle with the disease he was dealing with, and it's unfortunate. And as they say, he's probably in a better place because he has suffered quite a lot over the years. But from the accounts of his family and friends, not much changed about him. He was still as livid and fighting as much as he possibly could until the last day. And like I said, it sucks. It sucks to lose a legend like Muhammad Ali. Unfortunately, it is kind of how things work, but it's still never a good time or a good thing to have happen or a good thing to see.
No, but like you said, 30 years with Parkinson's is a long time. So, rest in peace, Muhammad Ali.
Absolutely, I agree. Rest in power.
Yes. And
his impact will be felt for many, many, many decades to come, for sure.
Absolutely.
We're hitting about that time. We've had a good about 30, 35 minutes of a podcast here. We'll get back to it next week. Excuse me. Hopefully, we have an NHL champion, a Stanley Cup champion, I should say, and an NBA champion to discuss. We've got some good stuff happening in the sports. We just got to get back into a groove. Appreciate you tuning in. As you all know, we are better live than dead.
You're not.
We'll catch you same time, same place next week, talking more sports, talking really whatever the hell we want to talk about, because that's how we do things here in the BLTD podcast. Check us out, bltdsports.com, facebook.com/BLTD podcast, on Twitter @BLTD Sports. I am at WolfBLTD. Mr. Perez is at MRLG Perez. Thanks again for tuning in, my friends. Have a fantastic, fantastic day.
The preceding presentation has been brought to you by the Gear Network.
Ooh, yeah, it's the Macho Man here. Yeah, talking to you, from, beyond the realm of spectrum. Yeah, all the other greats are, Dusty Rhodes is over there, Roddy Piper right over there. I got Balls and Axel right over there, and we're around the radio. Radio in our faraway land, so we can listen to you, talking wrestling on Gear Network. We want to hear JC talk about wrestling. We want to hear who he's interviewing, some of these young up-and-comers. I want to hear what they're about, and I want to hear them talk about how much of an inspiration the Macho Man really was for them. Dig it. I dig it. Wow, freak out. I'm doing a commercial. Right here, Gear Network, talking wrestling. Listen in, as that Perez guy would say. Dig it.
The Talking Wrestling Podcast, every 2 weeks through SummerSlam, here on the Gear Radio Network.